Level 1. Entering the P-Bass universe. This is where it all started. Before Leo Fender invented the precision bass, there was no way for bass players to plug their instruments and compete against a drummer, a piano player, or a three-piece wind section. Introduced in October 1951, it still is the definitive round, fat, and punchy Fender bass tone. For the initial setup into the precision bass universe, we'll be looking at the Squier Mini, Sonic, and Affinity lines. For those starting out as youngsters or travelers who don't need a full-size bass, the company developed the Squier Precision Mini. It comes with a poplar body, a comfy, modern maple C-shaped neck with a 9.5-inch radius, and generic hardware. The scale is 28.6 inches, so it's literally as if someone shrunk the P-Bass. The Squier Sonic series is a bare-bones approach to the traditional precision bass design. It comes with a poplar body, laurel or maple fingerboard, a standard 34-inch scale, and a generic split-coil pickup and hardware. The Squier Affinity moves away from the traditional P-Bass specs by adding an extra jazz bass pickup close to the bridge. It shares construction techniques and materials with the Sonic series. Also, Mini, Sonic, and Affinity offer undefined but super punchy ceramic pickups. The top-of-the-line Squier precision basses are classic vibe instruments. These are divided into 3 decades, 50s, 60s, and 70s. The 50s version comes with an era-correct pine body, maple fingerboard, and a Telecaster pickup and headstock. The 60s and 70s iterations have the quintessential P-Bass shape and look, a poplar body, and generic parts with upgraded Alnico pickups for that unmistakable precision tone. All Squier P-Bass models come with top-loader bridges and generic hardware. You can buy the Mini for $200, the Sonic for $269, the Affinity for $369, and the Classic Vibe for $529. The Mini, Sonic, and Affinity are great instruments to learn the craft on. The Classic Vibe line works wonders as a second bass or a good-looking backup for touring musicians. Squier precision basses are the most affordable way to own a legendary instrument with a legendary tone. Level 2. Your first Fender P-Bass. Fender started making precision basses in their Ensenada factory in 1987. The first Mexican instrument with a Fender decal was made there in 1991. A fun fact about this facility is that it's less than 200 miles away from the Corona, California facility. For you to choose your first Fender P-Bass, we'll be looking at the Standard, Player 2, and Vintera III series. The Standard is the most affordable Fender line. It's made in Indonesia and shares some specs with the Squier Sonic series. The body is made of poplar, the split coil pickup is ceramic, and the fretboard is either laurel or maple. That said, the hardware is different, and the satin-finished modern C-neck with a 9.5-inch radius feels perfect to learn or play live. The Player 2 series is made in Mexico and features quite a few enhancements when compared to the Standard. First of all, laurel gives way to rosewood slab. Also, the body is made of righteous contoured alder, which adds resonance and edge to the sound. Moreover, the Alnico V split coil Fender pickup helps with definition and gives the instrument the classic Fender tone. Finally, the hardware is upgraded to a proper Fender bridge, tuners, and knobs. But that's not all, because the line also offers the Player 2 modified active version, which adds a jazz pickup close to the bridge. Both pickups are noiseless and connected to an active preamp with passive and active EQ. Lastly, it includes a high-mass bridge that's both elegant and sturdy. The top-of-the-line instruments made in Mexico are the Vintera III. The line includes a late 60s precision bass model that comes with era-correct hardware, a vintage voice split-coil pickup, and an old-school 7.25-inch radius. It's like holding an old Fender P-Bass, but as if it was just out of the factory. The Standard line goes for $679. The Player 2 can be found at $849, the active version at $1,149, and the Vintera III is $1,249. While the Standard is a great student's bass, the Player 2 and Vintera III lines, with proper care and a good setup, can be lifetime companions on and off stage. Level 3. Back to the roots. From this level on, all basses are manufactured on US soil in the Corona, California facility. To bring the P-Bass back to the roots in all its glory, we'll be looking at the American Professional Classic and American Professional 2 lines.
Time to be a hero!
The American Professional 2 line replaces the American Standard, which has always been the main course in the Fender menu. Traditionally, these instruments have never been vintage reissues but modern classics. That said, the American Professional Classic is a perfect hybrid between a vintage and a modern instrument. To begin with, it features a Coastline 60 split coil pickup that gives it that fat punch with a bright top end, and cutting mids old P-basses are known for. Tone-wise, it's heavy, but it's got a vintage flavor. Also, the era-correct vintage hardware and grease bucket tones sound system make it a true revisited past glory. Although it shares DNA with the classic version, the American Professional II precision bass is a modern tone machine. The Signal V Mod 2 split coil pickup sounds modern, delivering a different kind of punch, a meatier one with a lighter low end and defined mids. Also, the high mass bridge, contoured heel, and Fender vintage style keys with tapered shafts make it look, feel, and perform as a modern instrument. Is that it? No, there's more. The American Professional II isn't a top loader like the classic. It features a string-through body design that enhances resonance and sustain. Wait, is there more? Yes, there is. There's a 5-string version of the American Professional II as well. You can buy the American Professional Classic for $1,599, the American Professional II for $1,899, and the 5-string version for $1,989. An American Professional bass is ready for high mileage. These models represent Fender's long reputation as the workhorse for the working musician. If you take care of it, you can play any of these for a lifetime. Level 4. Big names, amazing basses. Many big names in the industry have embraced the P-bass to leave their mark in music. They worked with a company to build instruments that would better suit their needs, live and in the studio. Those creations don't belong to a specific line. They're mostly on the loose, like free agents roaming through Fender's catalog. One of the longest-lasting Fender endorsers is Iron Maiden's Steve Harris. His first model came out in 2001, and it sounds as big and terrifying as his band's live show. The Seymour Duncan signature pickup is hotter than Fender's, and the Schaller tuners can keep it in check for an entire show. That said, it's also a vintage specs instrument with its U-shaped maple neck and 7.25-inch radius. More daring players like Guns N' Roses, Duff, McKagan, and Mastodon's Troy Sanders designed something different with Fender. Both feature a PJ configuration, but Duff's instrument is passive with signature Seymour Duncan pickups and a Fender TBX tone control. Troy's bass features a more complex layout with Tim Shaw designed pickups and an onboard active preamp. The included toggle switch allows for passive-active commutation, and the dual knobs allow you to boost or cut the EQ. That's Troy's secret to sound bigger than life. Other players prefer a more traditional approach, like Nate Mendel from the Foo Fighters and Mike Dirnt from Green Day. These instruments are treated to be similar to what they play live. This distressing treatment is called road-worn and simulates the long years on the road. Mendel's model is inspired by his 71 Candy Apple Red P-bass with a traditional alder body and a Seymour Duncan SPB3 quarter-pound pickup. Dirnt's model comes straight from the 50s with a Telecaster headstock, an ash body, and a custom vintage-style 59 split single coil pickup. Okay, wait, where are the weirdos? Well, Tony Franklin's fretless bass is one of them. Besides the PJ configuration, it comes with an unfinished fretless ebony fingerboard and a Strat-like 3-way pickup selector. Troy Sanders' model is $1,579. Steve Harris' model is $1,699. Duff's is $1,899. Nate Mendel's and Mike Dirnt's are $1,999. And Troy Franklin's is $2,259. Signature instruments aren't for all players. While some prefer a blank canvas to paint with their own colors, others benefit from years of experience. Whichever your case, these are great instruments to play music, period. Level 5. The Swiss Army Knife. Fender was sold to the CBS Corporation in 1965. It had grown so much that Leo was overwhelmed by the $9 million in back orders for guitars and amps. But CBS wasn't interested in making amazing guitars or amps. The company just wanted the business. When you make passionless instruments, musicians can tell, and they will stop buying from you. To celebrate that, a group of employees and private capital managed to buy the company back in 1985. The Plus line of instruments came out in 1987. These represented the best Fender could do at the time. That line was replaced by the Deluxe in the 90s, substituted by the Elite line in 2016, and finally by the American Ultra in 2019. Although names and specs changed a lot throughout the decades, the spirit is the same, making the best modern Fender instruments humanly possible. The Fender American Ultra 2 Precision Bass is the most advanced P-bass the company has developed so far. It comes with a PJ configuration, noiseless pickups, an active preamp, and enough tone shaping capability to make it sound like whatever you need. This is truly a Swiss Army knife in the shape of a bass guitar. However, there's more to this bass than just the cutting-edge electronics. The neck features a slick and fast modern D-shape, and a maple or ebony fretboard with a compound radius going from 10 inches to 14 inches so you can bop, shred, and slap at will. Moreover, the neck meets the selected alder body in a sculpted heel that will grant you easy access to the highest medium jumbo frets. Unless you're looking for a truly vintage tone with 60-cycle hum and lots of dirt, you can get any P-bass sound you can think of playing this instrument. It feels like boarding a state-of-the-art muscle car and going for a ride. You can get the Fender American Ultra 2 for $2,299 in any of the 4 available colors with a maple or ebony fingerboard. This is an instrument for the serious working musician who walks on stage or the studio at least on a weekly basis. That said, it can be a perfect solution for a home studio owner looking for a bass that can do it all. Level 6. Old Glories Revisited. Limitations can help creativity thrive. That's the premise behind the American Vintage line since it was introduced in 1982 by the CBS Corporation. It went through different names and iterations, but the concept has always been the same, bringing back old glories without changing anything about them. While the Vintera line of Mexican-made instruments aim for a decade, the company chooses a year and recreates that exact instrument for the American Vintage line. The American Vintage 2 line offers a 1954 P-bass recreation and a 1960 precision bass. The 1954 model is made of ash, comes with a maple neck, era-correct Telecaster headstock, a pure vintage 54 single-coil precision pickup, and a vintage 2 saddle bridge with string-through body construction. Since the concept is to revisit an old glory as difficult for intonation as the 2 saddle bridge might be, it's what they used back then. Therefore, it's what the company installed on this bass. Likewise, the 7.25-inch radius and the 54 C-shaped neck might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's what they played back then.
It was my cup of tea.
The 1960 model is made of alder and features the classic P-bass shape we all know and love. The neck is made of hard rock maple and features a rosewood slab fretboard with a 7.25-inch radius. The shape is C, but it's chunkier, beefier than the modern C shape. Also, unlike what you would expect, the bridge is a top loader with 4 threaded steel saddles. The electronics are straightforward and classic with a pure vintage 60 split coil pickup that packs a punch while delivering warm round tones. Both instruments come in an era-correct traditional G&G Fender cases and are painted with nitrocellulose lacquer. This type of paint, although thinner and more fragile than polyester or polyurethane, means the bass will age better. The color will fade just like it would on a vintage instrument, and those nicks and dings will add mojo and swagger to it. The American Vintage 2 Precision 54 goes for $2,649, while the 60 goes for $2,499. These basses are the closest you can be to owning and playing a piece of Fender history without paying an apartment's worth of money for it. Furthermore, just like vintage instruments, the more love you give to it and the more you play it, the better it will sound and look. Level 7. It doesn't get any better than this. The sky and your imagination are the only limits once you go beyond mass-produced instruments. Believe it or not, the Custom Shop started right next to the Plus line in 1987, with only 2 people, legends John Page and Michael Stevens. The idea behind the Custom Shop was to address artist needs and one-off creations per customer request. After 2 decades of negligence and faulty products, Fender lovers were desperate for a reliable new instrument that could recreate the sound that shaped music as we know it without the hassles or the price tag of a true vintage gem. The evolution of the concept divided the Custom Shop into 2 different sides: the team-built instruments and the master-built ones. The first group is made of the very best at performing each process in the production line. They are transferred to a different facility to do what they do best with superior materials, delivering legendary quality to happy customers. These Custom Shop instruments are divided into series. The postmodern line can be thought of as the continuation of the American Ultra. These are modern instruments with modern specs and the best materials possible. The Time Machine series picks up where American Vintage left off. You can buy a NOS instrument that looks as if it just left the factory or in various stages of wear, from journeyman relic to extreme levels of paint chipping, neck wear, and hardware oxidation. The more they beat it up for you, the more expensive it'll be. The Artisan series incorporates precious and rare wood into the construction. For example, you can buy a P-bass with a koa body or a flame maple top. The Custom Shop also offers top-of-the-line versions of artist signature instruments. However, that's just half the story. Master-built instruments make up the other half. These are made by a specific builder from start to finish, with the directions you request by filling in an online form. The result is a dream turned into a reality by the most talented builders in the world, with the best materials available. Team-built instruments can go for around $5,000, while master-built ones can easily exceed the $10,000 mark. It doesn't get any better than this. Every P-bass that makes it out of what Fender calls the Dream Factory is the best new instrument money can buy. So, those were the 7 levels of precision bass. Jazz bass players, you're up. That's your next lesson here at Bass Explained. Watch now before you start noodling on the wrong pickup.